All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Thursday, October 16th. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. So, Clayton, Startober is rolling on, our star-filled October, which is, of course, demolishing our star-filled September.
Nobody cares anymore.
No one cares about star member. So, we had Kelly Keegs on talking Taylor Swift. We had the box office legend, the box office daddy, Scott Mendelson was on the last episode. And now we got him, our great white whale from The Big Picture. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Fennessey is on the BO Boys. Welcome, Sean.
What's up? The skinniest, palest white whale you've ever seen in your entire life. Nice to be
here. You have no idea how skinny and pale our box office white whales have been. You're believe me, you're one of the rounder white whales we've had on the show. So, Sean, first off, before we get into anything, I do have to, and Clayton is just hearing this breaking news. I don't think you have heard this. Breaking box office news from Warner Brothers, the studio that gave us Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie, gave us Ryan Coogler's new movie. We have an announcement. Warner Brothers is developing a Jetsons live-action movie written and directed by Colin Trevorrow, starring Jim Carrey. How excited are you for this movie? Is this now the number one most anticipated movie on Sean Fennessey's list?
No.
Interesting.
Colin Trevorrow, not a filmmaker I'm terribly fond of. I am a Jim Carrey defender.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised on the comic cinema of Jim Carrey, and I just like seeing him in movies, and he's only appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog movies basically in the last 7 years, so I'm excited for him. Is he going to be George Jetson?
I mean, that's the wish casting.
Well, that's the easy way to go, but I think you have him play Rosie the Robot. I think that's where the real money is Jim Carrey.
Mocap.
Yeah. Or it's a clump situation and let Jim Carrey play
all the
Jetsons. Yeah.
I just feel like he is Jim Carrey's 60. Like George Jetson is 30. What are we doing?
I mean, Homer Simpson's 38. You know, it's these timelines change.
And Robert Redford was what, 50 in The Natural?
Yeah, he was 50 in The Natural, exactly. So, okay. And you got the commish playing the senior this year. I think you could do.
Well, that's appropriate age.
That is right. That is he was supposed to be old, but
wow, the commish. God, that was a great show.
Yeah. I think that is where the seniors box office could have been improved if they really played up the commish is the senior on the poster.
To this day, when I get lunch meat, I take it out of the fridge.
Yep.
And I'm wishing for a pen.
Yeah.
I'm wishing.
Yeah. The opening credits of the commish.
And I'm not even missing a pen.
Yeah.
I just want it to be in there.
Yeah. So Jetsons, does this feel like Warner Brothers didn't learn anything from the year they just had, where they put out all these original movies that have done well, Weapons, and you've got original movies killing it for them, and then they go to the Jetsons with Colin Trevorrow?
No, I think it's honestly a good idea. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be good, but their biggest hit of the year by far is a Minecraft movie, and that is familiar but new. It's a known quantity, but we've never seen it before, and as a film, and that's what the Jetsons is, right? I mean, there's never been a feature-length Jetsons movie, to my knowledge, and I guess Jim Carrey is a bankable star for children because he's associated now with Sonic, and I don't know, the future is cool, and I definitely wish that what is now what we thought the future of the Jetsons was going to be. Like, is the Jetsons set in 2025? What year? When that show was on, was it set in?
Oh, I bet you it's probably like 2009.
Yeah, there's someone celebrates a Jetsons day when it's, this is the last day the Jetsons ever lived, was actually 2011. That can they do, I feel like we're all the same age generation, we're all Generation X, all of us.
Well, he's a millennial, we're Gen X, Sean.
I'm a millennial, guys. I'm 1982. So please do not.
Millennial.
Oh, he's 81. So he's a millennial, right, Sean?
He's a millennial, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Listen, I'm Gen X because I'm 80.
I was sad when Kurt Cobain died. I'm Gen X. So
yeah. Well, you were sad about a lot of things because you were a baby and you were crying in your diaper. But anyway.
So we all remember the Brady Bunch movie. That way of taking the old IP, redoing. Could they do a meta Jetsons where it is they're all acknowledging their time has passed, that the future isn't as cool as they thought? Do it that way. Do a very knowing.
Someone could, but Colin Trevorrow can't do that.
That is the issue.
They should set it in the world of the Book of Henry. That's what they should do with it. Just make it like a crossover kind of event.
Yes, that is what people have been waiting for, is finally a new movie in the Henryverse.
Well, Henry wrote another book, and it's the Jetsons.
That's right. The book of the Jetsons.
So we're all excited about that. I mean, this is what you get out of the big picture. Sean comes in and he has gotten us excited about this live action Jetsons. I was ready to poo-poo it, and now I cannot wait to put it on my AMCA list. I'm very excited.
Who's going to be Jane and Judy and Elroy? Like, what are we looking at? Should we wish cast the rest of the family?
I mean, the way they cast, it'll be Jim Carrey in his 60s, and his wife will be probably Jennifer Lawrence will play the wife. Yeah.
Somebody just out of their 20s or early 30s, probably.
Yeah.
So Jenna Ortega is Judy.
Yes. Love that.
Yeah. And Jacob Tremblay.
I was gonna go for Tremblay. Yeah, but you know what?
That's the money. That is the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tremblay's name maybe even goes above Carrey on the poster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe it should just be an Elroy movie.
Yeah. That actually could work. And then there is a dog, right? The dog is a big deal.
What is the dog's name? I'm trying to think. It's like a ripoff of Scooby-Doo.
Astro. Can we get the dog who's getting a lot of great notices? The dog from Good Boy.
Oh,
as Astro.
Yeah.
In the Jetsons movie. Tremblay as the kid. Yeah, that could be the way to go.
I would just suggest maybe Andy Serkis mocap performance as Astro is the only thing that would be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. You just maybe Colin Trevorrow has something up his sleeve that we haven't seen yet, because this cast is great. Mm-hmm. Carrie, Jacob Tremblay, the dog from Good Boy, or
Jenna Ortega,
or Andy Serkis. I don't think he's worthy of this cast we've put together. That is the one problem. But maybe he's got it.
Well, maybe Nolan will be wrapped on the Odyssey by this point, and we can just slot him in.
Yes, what a way to get Nolan back in the Warner Brothers family, is he actually takes over from Colin Trevorrow to direct the Jetsons movie.
But like a dark and gritty Jetsons,
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Where like Astro is turned bad somehow, and we don't understand why, and we learn that it's part of some machinations of some futuristic society to turn all dogs against humans. I could see it.
Yeah.
And like in Tenet, you can't actually hear what everybody's saying, so you're just a little bit confused, and then you're like, oh well, it's the future, so I guess it's just like that's how it is. I just don't understand the language anymore.
Yeah I love this. I love this is how we get Nolan back in the Warner Brothers family. So Sean, gotta ask you, of course, on the big picture, you guys review movies. You're sort of the new Roger Ebert, Gene Shalit, continuing the tradition of movie critics that people actually know. They know the face of. You're now in that lineage, but
it's just not true, Pat.
Every generation has their Gene Shalit, and
please,
you are ours.
Not all Shalits have a mustache.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a mustache.
He is the Shalit.
I'm working on it. I'm working. Yes. I'm inspired by Shalit. I can't get my hair to curl like that though.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. You almost have to go away for a year and just focus only on doing that, and then come back with the Shalit hair.
Yeah, you got to train your hair.
Yeah.
That's a training regimen.
Yeah. That's something that you spend a whole year on, but we believe in you. So on your show, it's talking about movies, but you do talk about the movie business and box office. I know you have a fraught relationship with box office sometimes on the big picture, but what is your origin stories with being a box office fan? When did you start really knowing it was a thing? Was there a movie run that birthed your box office fandom?
It's a good question. I'm not sure if there's an individual movie whose financial success I got interested in, but I was a loyal reader of Entertainment Weekly from a very early age. And Entertainment Weekly, a week after, ran the box office returns in the magazine. And as a big sports fan as a kid, this was sort of the back of the baseball card for movie freaks. And I remember very closely tracking that and feeling like I didn't really have the total picture because it was only moving week by week. Like if you look now at the arc of success for a movie released in the 1980s on Box Office Mojo or the numbers or something like that, you can see the progression, but you just get these kind of like individuated single week bite-sized pieces of information. But if something was number one or something crossed $75 million, I mean, there were a handful of like huge event movies whose box office was very closely concern-trolled, you know, like Waterworld and Titanic and a handful of 90s films who we knew these movies cost a lot of money. And that probably got me a little bit more interested in understanding what it means for a movie to make money and lose money, and what does it actually cost to not just make a movie, but market and promote it and release it on home video and all these contingent financial components. But I don't have like a rosebud for my interest in the box office.
Okay. So you don't remember where you were when There's Something About Mary got to number one on Labor Day weekend in its, I think, 7th week. You don't have a photographic, I was standing in this spot in my grandfather's house. That's not.
I was probably
that
seeing
momentous.
it for like the 4th time in movie
Right.
theaters. You know, I, like millions of Americans, thought when Ben Stiller got cum on his ear, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you know,
I was
just a normal man back then.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that with comedies. I mean, I think when we started emailing to get you on the show, we were right about to have the Naked Gun release, and we were all hoping and praying that would be a giant hit that would bring box office comedies back, and it did well. But I don't think it is the sort of, now they're going to rush 10 of these comedies to theaters. But we do talk about how comedies need to have the hair gel scene in the marketing. Yeah. That is the most important thing, is what is the scene that audiences know they're going to get this if they go see in the theater.
It's complicated though, because in The Naked Gun, I thought the body cam sequence was extremely funny, but it was in the trailer. And it was completely diminished in the movie-going experience because they put that scene, which they knew was funny, which would draw audiences, in the trailer. So how do you navigate that in a time when the information funnel is moving so quickly and people are seeing a lot more marketing than they did in the past? It's more diffuse, but I don't know. I don't know how you do that with comedy. I don't know how you incentivize people to show up for something that 6 weeks later they'll be able to watch at home when it doesn't have that event feeling. And I don't know if that scene that we're talking about in There's Something About Mary would create that same sensation of event if people knew it was coming to Paramount Plus 6 weeks later. The Netflix, The Naked Gun is now available to stream. It's not even on VOD. It's just on the streamer.
Yeah. And it's already exists as Twitter memes. If you look at The Naked Gun now, it's already been cut up, and that is the thing. Nowadays, There's Something on Mary, the hair gel scene, people would just say, I'm gonna wait to see it on TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can find comedy in your pocket at such a rapid pace, where I think that's why horror has been doing so well, is that it's so much harder to do horror on TikTok than it is to do comedy on TikTok. And I think that's why you're seeing horror just really being a genre that can't fail. I mean, it has its failures, but then it comes bouncing and roaring back. Like we saw that Conjuring movie doing 83 in its opening weekend, which was crazy. But yeah, I think that's the thing with comedy, is like, how do you compete with all of that in your pocket at all times?
I don't know that you really can. And I don't know if the horror thing I've talked about a lot on my show as well. And I'm a huge, huge fan of horror and horror history. And it has been arguably the most consistent genre across the last 70 years in moviegoing. And one of the reasons why I persist too is that those films are relatively cheap to make. But I do worry that at a certain point we will also overwhelm audiences with too much horror because there's not enough differentiation. Obviously, in a year with Sinners and Weapons, and even a really good Final Destination movie and a handful of other titles, it feels like the well is never going to run dry, but the golden goose can be killed, it's possible. And that's kind of one of the last bastions of non-event film going that feels healthy. So I don't want to speculate about the demise of something I care about, but I'm concerned that it's like the takeaways from this year at the box office are going to be, that Warner's crushed it with Minecraft, and then every other win that they had was horror adjacent or pure horror. And so every other studio is going to be like, we got to figure out how to we can't just hope that we get a Jordan Peele movie once every 5 years. If you're Universal, you're like, what are my event horrors? I can't just rely on Blumhouse.
Right.
I got to figure out what else I can do to get, how am I getting my Zach Kreger? How am I getting 28 years later? How am I getting a movie that feels like it's worthy of the cycle? And it requires like old school film development. You have to identify unproven talents, and you have to make sure that they have a rock solid idea. And that one of the cool things about Weapons is that it feels like a very grown up movie. It's not dumbed down. It's a modest amount of jump scares. It has adult themes and deep ideas, and it's a thrill ride. And to locate talents who can make that kind of thing requires a lot of legwork. It's not just like putting the new Jurassic Park movie in development and getting that off the ground for 2029. There's like a lot more that goes into developing a weapon. So I hope that that's how it happens. I hope it isn't just, we're just going to fire off 5 more sequels.
Yeah, we don't need Megan 3.0. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I get there is something too within horror. If you are a director who wants to get an idea across or get something original across, horror is the applesauce that you wrap the medicine around in a way. Like, so that still could be a thing where you're getting your best directors who I can't get anything else made, but if I just give this a horror twist, though, I mean, what do you think about that, Sean? Is that a dangerous property for audiences where they could sniff that out? They could sniff out this is medicine inside of a horror film, or this is someone trying to use horror to sneak something in.
Well, didn't that happen with him? Not to, but I think that's what happened with him. I think that got sniffed out so quickly that it was a movie where all of the horror was in the trailer and none of it was real. And so it was a movie about how terrible being an athlete can be, which is true. But then they had to have the horror trappings and people sniffed it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a variety of reasons why that movie didn't work. That's definitely one of them, what you said, Clayton. I think another one is that it's a movie that is ostensibly about football, but is actually about training. And there's not actually any real football in it. So if you're trying to sell a movie like that to a football-loving audience, it's a movie about being in pre-training camp with a
so they didn't even have to actually be there. It was, what is that called when they just like when you just show up because
it's just
you
workouts during the year.
Yeah,
they should have just said it.
Yeah, non-mandatory workouts. That's a horror movie about non-mandatory workouts. So
it's a weird idea for a movie.
It very much is.
If him had been a horror movie about the off-season trades and signings, would that have been more appealing to football fans?
I think that's a great idea for a thriller, not a horror movie. That because in trades and off-season signings, it's all about like backroom deals and betrayals, and there's like a succession element to that that I think is really fun. But you're right about him. I think another example of that, which is a movie that I like more than him, but was not as successful as I think the studio wanted it to be, is Bring Her Back, which coming on the heels of Talk to Me, the Philippo brothers' breakout film, which was a thrill ride, and Bring Her Back is like a much more grounded and kind of devastating treatise on grief and loss. And it does have some really intense horror elements to it, but is like a slow, hard watch.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna. It didn't like demand that people show up for that.
That was one where in the weeks leading up to it, me and Clayton were tearing our hair out. I mean, I am like this because of Bring Her Back.
Yeah, Pat was more successful at that than I was.
Yeah, tore it all out because we kept saying, this is the Talk to Me guys. This is the Team Rocka Rocka. That was they were YouTubers, and that they had a huge hit. Why are we not getting more promotion for this movie? I did see Bring Her Back. I loved it, but I get it. It doesn't have teenagers hanging around in a basement talking to a hand that gives them ghosts. That's a hook right there. So yeah, after seeing the movie, I was like, okay, now I get why it didn't get that level of promotion.
A24 was famous for their deceptive marketing, and they didn't push it as hard as they could have. They really could have, and I know
they could have lambed it.
All those things. Yeah, they could have lambed it. All those things are true that you said, but I think people would have found that movie and been pushed to that movie. I just don't think they respected those guys and the success that they had brought them with their previous movie by really pushing this thing, because I do think it could have done way better.
Maybe, yeah.
I think there was a way to make it, position it more like a cult film, where a lot of the videotape segment from the very first, the very beginning, where we're watching this ritual that is then being explored later in the movie, if you had given it a little bit more of like a Blair Witch kind of feeling rather than focusing on the Sally Hawkins character, that might have been more appealing to audiences. But A24, they were like the masters of hiding the ball. Materialist was another example of hiding the ball. Like they're really, really smart about saying, here's what you think something is going to be. And then when you sit down, you're going to realize it's something a little bit different. And the Smashing Machine, you could argue, didn't do as well for this exact same reason, that there was a kind of conventionality in the marketing for that film that does not bear out when you go to see it, right? When you go to see it, you're like, this is kind of an odd character study about a sad guy in the desert. It's not actually a triumphal sports film. And maybe the word of mouth hurt it, whereas in Materialist's case, it helped it. It was the opposite. It was sort of like, oh, that wasn't what I was thinking at all. It was like kind of interesting. I kind of hated it, but maybe I liked it because I'm still thinking about it. And, movies are they're very delicate. They can kind of like dissolve on impact, or they can expand, like a sponge. They can like get bigger and heavier the more you fill them with something. So it's a tricky game that studio in particular plays. I do think that they're really clever about how they do some of this stuff, but with Bring Her Back, I feel like they were actually just too straightforward. They were like, this is kind of a sad, grueling film with some monstrous elements, and that's what you're going to get. And so it got, what did it make? Like $35 million? Not bad, but it was not talk to me.
Yeah. So staying on A24, and obviously you can't review this film, but you have seen Marty Supreme, and just want to get your box office prognostication for this movie. You don't have to give numbers, but just coming out of it, we got Timmy, who's one of our possible actual movie stars, a guy who maybe people will go see just because he's in the movie.
Paltrow's back.
And Paltrow's back. Paltrow is back, and she's going to know what movie she's in this time. She's going to know she's not in a Spider-Man movie. She knows she filmed Marty Supreme. Is this coming out Christmas? Do you feel like this could be an actual mainstream hit in the sense of it could do around, maybe it could get to near the Dylan movie numbers? Could it get to, or at least could it be an Uncut Gems for A24?
Yeah.
I think Uncut Gems is probably the comp, because I think it's hard to come out of the movie and not have a big reaction to it. Whether you like it or don't like it, I really liked it. It's incredibly energetic. I think it's the best Chalamet performance yet.
Wow.
I do think it will be a little divisive, because the character is a little bit unlikable purposefully.
Okay.
And it is a period piece. So there's some challenges with marketing it there, in addition to its length. It's a tricky time of the year. It's Avatar: The Way of Water. It's The Housemaid.
Wicked will still be out.
Wicked will be a month in. Zootopia 2 will be a month in.
That's a big one. Yeah,
that is a big one.
Song Sung Blue is coming out. The Hugh Jackman, Kate Hudson movie, I think, is a Christmas film. So it's going to be a competitive time. I think for fans of, original filmmaking, it is going to feel like water in the desert. And I think it's the ultimate test of Chalamet's stardom, because he has nothing to lean on. There's no Wonka mythology. There's no Bob Dylan mythology. There's no Frank Herbert mythology. There's nowhere to hide on this. This is him. Anytime he's been in a movie like this previously, whether it be Bones and All or Beautiful Boy or, on throughout his career, all good performances. I think he's a great star and a fine actor. He's never opened a movie by himself. And as we've already seen from some of the viral marketing, like it's on his shoulders, right? And it's on the shoulders of from one of the guys who brought you Uncut Gems in Josh Safdie.
Yep.
I don't know if I could put a number on it. Like it could open at 18 and then make 80. Like it could open at 30 and then make 60. Like I have no idea. I'm fascinated. It is exactly the kind of movie that I am rooting for. It is where I want the business to go. Like, star driven, auteur created, prestigious but thrilling and fun movies. That is my fucking bag. That is my thing. So I hope it does really well.
Is there enough ping pong in this movie to satisfy the ping pong fans? Or is it a him?
There is, but it is not like purely a ping pong movie.
Okay.
Like there are critical structural elements of it that are sports movie-esque for sure. And there are some like satisfying highs and low lows, but it's not entirely that. It's like a much more of a series of incidents and excursions and insanity than it is like a straight line of guy must win tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not preseason training.
No.
There's actual tournaments. Great. This is good to hear.
Okay. Great.
Ping pong tournaments. Yes.
Okay.
The other thing that's going to be interesting about this film too, and we saw this with the Dylan movie with Timmy, is his press tour and the places he stopped and the things he did that helped promote that. I mean, he did Game Day, he did Nardwuar, he did all these different things that he's a young star who's using all these avenues that we haven't seen other stars do. And I'm very interested in what this full court press is going to be for this movie, for Timmy.
I think everything's on the table, right? I don't know how much bigger you can get than College Game Day. You know, I mean,
it's huge.
One of the most watched TV programs in America, and speaks directly to a young audience and a middle America audience. This movie is a little bit more coastal, for lack of a better word. It's a New York story. It has a kind of zaniness that is not right down the middle. So I don't know if you should be trying to capture that same audience as the Game Day audience, but I wonder if he will try to do something more in the vein of what we saw earlier this week with the video that he released with the ping pong head guys, where, like a little bit more mystery and a little bit more like Kanye West style event, the abstract, you know?
Right. Go in the Kanye West direction to a point.
Yeah,
and then stop.
And then stop.
You know, not Kanye circa 2023.
Yes, that's the advice we're giving Timmy is do Kanye to about 2013 and then you stop. Yeah, great advice. I'm excited. I'm excited that movie's box office is going to have such a story to it. Is that basically Timothy Chalamet as a movie star will be defined by the end of December. We will know. And you know what? Work that into the marketing of the movie. Well, Marty Supreme, is Timmy going to be a movie star? Find out this weekend.
It's unclear if that's a movie that will have legs, though. Like, it is possible that we have to wait until March because he will be campaigning for Best Actor. He will be contending for Best Actor. And so you could see a world where that movie hangs around for 3 months, especially if the schedule is a little soft in the first few months of the year, which I think for high-end stuff, it is going to be a little bit soft. I think there'll be plenty of like horror movies and whatnot that are opening in January and February, but there's a world where Marty is still on 1,000 screens in the third week of February.
You mentioned the Oscars.
Okay, here we go. You talk about this on your show, and I know something you love to do on the Big Picture is concern troll the Oscar ratings, and your great co-host Amanda sometimes I don't want to hear it. She just wants to talk about the awards, not the ratings. Sean, let's talk about bringing up these Oscar ratings this year.
Okay.
What can we do? And last year it had an uptick. The first Conan year, higher rated than the year before. What are some things that you hope either happen in the nominations, in the building of this show, that could get us back? We're not going to get back to 98 Titanic. It's gone.
Yeah.
But I still think we could go up. I think we could get these ratings up. And I think this year's crop of movies, if they go the right way, could do that.
I totally agree. I think it's actually a good opportunity. One, Conan is proven commodity and people really liked him as a host. Two, you've got the the Conan generation kind of aging into their awards watching era, you know, us Gen X and the elder millennials who loved Conan as young people. He's our Carson, right? So we like him. We're comfortable with him taking over the reins for a little while. Secondarily, you've got really fun races. You've got maybe Leo versus Timmy in Best Actor. You've got a very, very competitive Best Actress crop this year. Probably Jessie Buckley out in front, but you're going to have, you know, Cynthia Erivo and a handful of others fighting tooth and nail. Maybe even some very famous people like Jennifer Lawrence in that mix. And then Best Picture, it's going to be what it's been the last few years, but maybe a slightly improved version of that, where you're going to have 5 art house, international, you know, smaller distributor films. And then you're going to have 5 big films. You're probably going to have Sinners, One Battle After Another, Wicked for Good, maybe Avatar, Fire and Ash. Like, those are mainstream films that from major studios, and they're going to have huge marketing pushes behind them. And there's going to be a lot of movies that people have seen. That's what you need. That's what you need to get the ratings up, is famous people in exciting races and big movies. That's what works.
Yeah. The one thing that I think is always a problem is going into this year, we'll have Sinners, we'll have One Battle After Another, we'll have, like you said, maybe Avatar, maybe Wicked,
maybe Weapons. I mean,
maybe
Weapons get in there.
Maybe. Anceladis definitely needs to be in there. Anceladis has to be at the Oscars. I mean, Conan has to do an Anceladis opening sketch.
He's got the red hair.
He's got the red hair. He has to cut into an Anceladis scene. But if going into the Oscars, everyone pretty much knows Hamnet is going to win Best Picture, that is where the interest runs. And I haven't seen Hamnet. I'm sure it's a great film.
Love Jessie Buckley.
Yeah. All the preamble there. But that's always the problem, is you can nominate Dune 2 and all these big movies, Avatar 2 get nominated, but the audience knows that ain't what's winning. And I think that is, can the Oscars just beforehand just say, Hamnet, we know you're great, but we are going to say you cannot win because we need to up the ratings this year, and let the audience know that. Is there something like that where we say it's either going to be Wicked, One Battle, or Sinners? Tell the audience one of these 3 will win.
No, we can't do that. I mean, that's just not how it works. As much as I would like to continue to identify the Academy as this uniform group, a shadowy cabal that meets in a darkened room down a Christmas Adventurers hallway.
Yes.
It's actually just 10,000 people spread across the world.
That's the
Some
problem.
of whom are colleagues and friends, but mostly are not. It's a disparate collection of people who have all different kinds of jobs. We always think of it as writers and directors and actors, and it is them, but it's also artisans and publicists and executives and agents and all the people who are across the film industry who vote on this. They all have different taste, and some of them are going to like Hamnet, and some of them are going to love Hamnet, and many of them are going to vote for Hamnet. And Hamnet is a good movie. So it's impossible to say, let's not do this. Let's give it to something bigger. If I had to pick today, I think One Battle After Another will win.
Okay.
But it's October 15th, and that prediction is meaningless right now.
So you think at the end of the Oscars, when everyone gets on stage and the cast gets to go up, we will see James Downey on stage at the Academy Awards. There is that, because if that possibility is out there, I think the ratings are going to be higher than we've had in 20 years.
Will he? Sorry,
James Downey, the SNL writer.
James, the SNL writer.
The SNL writer.
Yes, the SNL writer.
I'm just referring to
and the financier.
The financier.
Yeah, James Downey, the financier, of course.
And will he be holding his award for Best Supporting Actor?
Yeah.
Right, because we could have this race in supporting. We could have Conan.
Yep.
Hosting and also in the race.
He's in the race.
Which I think is something that you must do. If we're doing one thing to get ratings, is you have the host. He could be nominated, and he's getting good marks for this. Have you've seen If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You? Have you seen that, Sean?
Yeah, it's terrific.
Okay.
And do you think Conan is somebody that they could nominate?
No.
All right. Well,
Nice.
so that ruins that.
Okay.
But say, what if he was somebody you could nominate? And then you have the whole thing is that That's the last thing they announce is Best Supporting. Conan's up for it. Downey's up for it.
I guess, though, Conan will be able to make hay out of
not being snubbed.
That could be a runner through the night.
But you'd have Sandler in there. You'd have Sandler, Conan,
and James Downey,
and Downey.
Actor. That is a draw for late 80s, early 90s SNL fans. That is, the Wayne's World generation would watch that Oscar.
Because then we're talking ratings.
Yeah.
None of those things are going to happen.
And wait, is Busboys coming out? Could they get David Spade in there too? Because I think was Busboys coming out this year?
Yeah.
Did they get the crowdfunding up so that they could release
just in time for the Oscar nomination?
Yeah.
So wait, have you seen the Baumbach movie? Is Sandler in the conversation for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I thought he was quite good. I liked it. The response has been mixed from some people, but I really liked it. And I definitely have a soft spot for Baumbach, and I have a very, very, very soft spot for Sandler. I'm a huge Sandman allegiant, and I think he's really, really special in the movie. He is kind of like the emotional fulcrum of the film, and he has kind of a tough part, and it's kind of it's I don't know if it's against type, but he's never really done a performance like the one that he does in this movie.
Okay.
In that he has to kind of like, he's not at the center of it. And he is the person who has to kind of force the issue and like force the emotional conflict because he's not the centerpiece. And I think he's very, very good and very effective. I think it's hard to say how the Academy is going to react to this movie, because it is a movie about a movie star in the movie industry, and it is like pretty in the weeds on a lot of the world of movies. So I'm sure you guys will respond to certain aspects of it really well, since you seem to care about this stuff a lot. I think general audiences are going to find it a little bit of a head scratcher. There's a real like, why do I have to care about this guy's late stage depression? He's like 65 and a multimillionaire. But I thought it was an interesting evolution for Baumbach and a really cool platform for Sandler. So I think he's competitive to win.
Yeah, I mean, Sandler in the race I think that is a nomination that changes the audience for the Oscars.
And with a chance to win.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a hard run up against Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro. I think those are two now beloved performances, and if for different reasons and in different registers, but those are two huge stand-up performances in a movie a lot of people really like. But I think he's definitely competing to be nominated.
Okay. That would be huge. And then one more nomination on the Oscars that could affect ratings. Does Sydney Sweeney have a shot at a Best Actress nomination? She did the boxing movie. Okay, because I think that's one that if that happens, the advertising is centered on that.
I think Timmy and Sydney Sweeney being nominated would be pretty huge for the show. I think that's an opportunity to really like point in a neon sign way, like the future is here. I think Sydney Sweeney is actually quite a gifted dramatic actress, and is, because she's become such a sex symbol, is a little bit underestimated. And her biggest box office success is for a romantic comedy in which she's not really very funny. But and she's been at the center of plenty of controversies in the last few months. But I saw Christy the other day. I think she gives like a really good performance. It's it feels like a very standard kind of unremarkable biopic to me. But you can see that she put a lot of time and effort into the physical transformation that she made, into the boxing choreography. So it's the kind of part that the Academy likes. I think if the movie is considered a little too lightweight, forgive the pun, then maybe she'll be discounted, but it's a good performance.
And it's she transforms in a way that, say, The Rock with the Smashing Machine didn't really, other than, I mean, facially, obviously they used the prosthetics and it looked amazing. He looked like a different person, but physically, she transformed to become a fighter, and he was already a fighter. So I think that was one of those things where it was like, if you're going to nominate one of these, even though both of them are sort of by the book, you're going to go with that one where she transformed herself.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if they don't have to pick, obviously, because they're in categories. And I do think Dwayne Johnson's performance is also pretty impressive, because it's not about how he transformed physically. It's about how he shifted gears in terms of his presentation, where like he just turned off the megawatt phony charisma and leaned into something a little bit more kind of like anguished right under the surface while trying to make sure everything seems completely fine on the surface.
Yeah.
That was I think it's a kind of a cool psychological performance. I know the reception of the movie's been very mixed, but Sydney Sweeney's is just much more your like traditional, like she gained weight, she dyed her hair brown, and she learned how to box,
Yeah.
and that's for someone like her. I imagine she was not a skilled boxer before she took on this part.
Yeah.
Well, were you shocked at the box office for The Smashing Machine? I mean, did that shock you that it opened that low, or I think everybody was just overestimating what that movie was going to do?
Yeah, I mean, there was some reporting like maybe 8 weeks ago, that it was tracking at 20 million, and I was shocked to hear that. I saw it back in May, and when I saw it, I liked it, and I liked it as a successor to The Curse, the series that Benny Safdie and Nathan Fielder made. It feels very much like that. And that was just not a very popular TV show. It was a very cool TV show, but it had Emma Stone and nobody watched it. And I thought they're very similar energies and ambiance in that movie, where there's this vague sense of unease and you're not sure whether it's supposed to be dread inducing or comic. And it's a very unique flavor of storytelling. And it felt like Benny was going for a similar thing with the score and the sort of surveillance style that it's shot. And I think it's kind of confounding to general audiences. And so it had not super strong reviews post Venice. And then the word of mouth wasn't good. So yeah, it kind of died.
But he's still possibly in the Oscar conversation, possibly.
And would that be ratings? I mean, that would be ratings. It's The Rock.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Rock versus Timmy, and it's more stuff Conan could do. Rock could, throw Conan through a table on the Oscars, and everyone will love it. So hope he gets nominated, even if I didn't love the movie. But a couple of movies coming out the next few weeks. We want to get your take on. We've got next week. Is it next week? The Bruce Springsteen movie. It's hitting theaters.
24. No, is it 24th?
It's coming 24th. Out soon. Are you a Bruce guy, Sean? I know you were very big into the Dylan movie. That was an important one for you. Bruce, you're a Long Island guy. You're not a Jersey guy. So Bruce is
that's exactly
whatever.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
You're a Billy Joel guy.
I'm a Billy. If I had to choose,
there we go. I've been saying this for months and months. That's the biopic we need. Is Billy Joel going into mailboxes. That's your Oscar.
Did you watch the 5-hour HBO documentary about Billy Joel?
I did.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting to really savor it. I need a whole weekend to watch it a few times in a row.
Part one is a movie. I mean, part one is an incredible cinematic story about his relationship with his bandmate, and then the woman that he falls in love with, who is his bandmate's wife, and he breaks up the marriage of his bandmate, and then he gets married to this woman, and this woman becomes his manager, and she helps him elevate his career to unseen heights. And then just as they're breaking up, he retains her brother as his manager, and then that brother steals tens of millions of dollars from him. I mean, it's an extraordinary life story that Billy Joel has lived. So regardless of whether or not you think he's a genius or a hack, there's a lot more drama in that story, I found, than there was in Deliver Me From Nowhere, the Springsteen movie. I like Bruce Springsteen. He's not one of my guys, as Mark Maron would say, but he's somebody whose music I like. I have a lot of podcast. Rest in podcast. I missed WTF already. I don't.
He'll be back. He's not going to delete the feed. We all know this.
I hope he'll be back.
He'll be back.
I'm not sure what the. I don't think that the reviews for A Complete Unknown from me and other people was like, wow, this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
And I was very concerned about the hagiography and the imitative style and the traditional structure that you get from a lot of musician biopics. I found Springsteen to be a little bit more guilty of a lot of those cliches than A Complete Unknown, and so that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be held against it, though. Those films tend to do pretty well at the box office, so I'm really not quite sure.
So I'm gonna quiz you really fast, Sean. What makes more money at the box office? Deliver Me From Nowhere or Song Sung Blue?
Well, we know that Jackman has that Greatest Showman track record of opening a movie at Christmas, or not opening a movie and then living
all-time legs. We always say it's Greatest Showman and Puss in Boots 2 Last Wish. Those are your big Christmas legs that you'll always remember.
Yes, those are two huge ones. It could be Song Sung Blue.
I think so too. I'm a huge Bruce guy. This movie, and we've talked about it on this show several times. I'm not super psyched to see it. Of course, I'm going to see it opening weekend, and I love Nebraska, but general public doesn't know Nebraska. When you were describing this Billy Joel, and I watched that because even though you say you're a super fan, but you haven't watched it, and I watched the whole thing.
Need a whole weekend, watch it several times.
Yeah, but those songs that were played during that is a movie that's going to get people going back to the theater because those songs are all well-known hit bangers. Nebraska, maybe people know Atlantic City, maybe,
Well, I will say in Deliver Me From Nowhere, one of the interesting things about it is that they give you two sort of brief glimpses into super mainstream Bruce.
Okay.
There is a moment where you get Born in the USA ever so briefly, and it is electrifying. Like, I'm not even a Born in the USA fan. Like, it's not one of my favorite songs. I don't really care about it. But watching Jeremy Allen White kind of turn that on is a real wow moment in a movie that is a series of contemplative, self-serious, kind of sad existentialism. And maybe that'll be enough, but I think it might actually just kind of needle the audience a little bit more.
It'll be a prank almost, right?
Yeah.
It's like, look what this could have been, and then they drag it away from you. But then this Neil Diamond movie, right? You've got Kate Hudson come back, right? You've got Neil Diamond, who he has songs people are sleeping on. He's a guy that has huge songs.
Oh yeah,
Forever in Blue Jeans, Porcupine Pie, right?
Is Forever in Blue Jeans : Neil Diamond the name of the movie?
No, I mean, but it could be. I mean, we've seen the rebrand.
Yeah.
We've seen it with the Whitney Houston movie.
Is there
a chance?
Is there a chance this Springsteen movie bombs opening weekend and we get a sort of Harley Quinn : Birds of Prey type second week renaming, and they just call it Born in the USA : Bruce Springsteen, just full retitle by Monday?
I mean, that's not going to happen, obviously, but I do think that you might see a pivot in the marketing for the second week. I don't know. I have a hard time wrapping my arms around what this movie is going to be, because it's not Searchlight, it's 20th Century Studios. So it is it's a studio movie. It's not an awards movie. There's obviously awards aspirations, and I think there's a good chance that both Jeremy Allen White and Jeremy Strong could be nominated for their performances. They're both very good in the film, but it has the kind of temperament of an art house film, but the presentation of a studio movie. And so it's an unusual kind of thing. And so it's a little bit hard to know how much awareness there even is of the movie in the general public right now.
So we got you for a few more minutes. We are going to get you to your screening because, of course, Sean Fennessey of The Big Picture is always on his way to a movie screening.
Always be screening.
Yes. But this weekend, 2 movies open up. Black Phone 2. Is this something you've seen? Is this something you're excited? Is the grabber pointing down?
No. That's where I'm going right after this.
Oh, of course. That's where you're on your way. So do you think that Ethan Hawke is the grabber? Could this become an iconic horror villain? We always talk about sitting at the table, Freddy, Jason, of course.
Chucky in the high chair.
Art the Clown now, he's coming in, he's serving food. He doesn't get to sit yet, but they let him in.
Is Jigsaw a part of this?
Jigsaw, of course, he has the puppet come into the table. Jigsaw himself is in another room. Yeah.
The puppet, obviously, on the tricycle. Yeah.
Yes. So, can the grabber, do we think are you optimistic that the grabber has that upside? Obviously, you haven't seen this yet. We've only seen the first one.
And he can skate. Remember, he now can skate. We know he can skate.
Yeah. I think it's a backdoor Slapshot sequel, actually, this movie, which is sounds good to me.
I don't know. Blumhouse's way this year is just totally change the tone of their horror sequel.
And that's the best way to get on the rewatchables.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. I think it's going to do really good opening weekend business. I think there hasn't been a noisy horror movie in a minute, and it's enough of a brand. The first film did well enough that it's the kind of horror movie that you see a bounce up on the sequel. I don't think that guarantees it being an iconic figure. I mean, the Grabber is, he's a child murderer. This is not like, this isn't even, and he's not, this movie, I guess, is more supernatural. The first film is, there are some supernatural elements to that film, but they're from the perspective of the lead character, not from the killer. Unlike Freddy or even the sort of like superhuman survivability of Jason, the Grabber was just a child murderer.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was who the villain of that movie was. This movie, I think, if it makes a stronger effort to build the mythos around that character and makes it more supernatural, then you could see a world. If they're sticking to like the hardline, super mean-spirited style of horror movie that Scott Derrickson's been making, like Sinister, I don't know. I don't know if iconic is where that will go.
Yeah, Grabber's he's got to do the Freddy progression of get quippier, more jokes, a little sillier, and then we forget that this guy started as a child murderer. We always forget that. That's how they all start. And we've got a comedy, a big screen with big stars comedy. Seth Rogen and Keanu Reeves are together on screen in a comedy, and Aziz Ansari. And doesn't it feel like this? We all just know the outcome that's about to happen with this. What happened here? Have you seen Good Fortune? Why is this a comedy with big stars that almost no one seems to know exists?
I was not invited to a screening of this movie.
Wow.
I would have imagined that like the studio would have wanted Aziz to come on the show, or something. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm going to see it on Thursday night. That's the first time I'm able to see it. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show next week. I do know that it has had a long production history, and Aziz's previous film was canceled midway through because of a controversy with Bill Murray. So I know it's been like a challenging few years for Aziz as working as a filmmaker. Tons of people I like in this movie, not just Keanu and Seth Rogen and Aziz, but Keke Palmer too. Seems like a great premise. It's kind of like soft Wings of Desire, like, When Harry Met Sally meets Wings of Desire, which sounds great. But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's high awareness of it, and I'm concerned that it's not going to do well.
Keke Palmer, who had a comedy hit just recently.
Yeah.
And this movie, it's Lionsgate, so obviously there's like a ceiling there. But yeah, this thing is just gonna do nothing. And you got Keke Palmer,
the one original comedy hit we've had in years.
One of them
Much.
days.
And this is her follow-up. She had an Eddie Murphy movie on streaming, but this is her one of them days follow-up. And Sean Fennessey has not been invited to a screening of it. No one is asked to come on the big picture. This is stunning.
I hope it's good. I don't have anything negative to say about it. It's just at this stage of the game in my life, doing what I'm doing, the idea of like not being invited to a movie usually means that it's being hidden. That it's like, this is not good. And even bad movies now, I get invited to in some form or another, and I'm pretty open-minded about everything. And I really like all the people in this movie, so it's a bit confusing. I don't know. I hope it does well. I hope it's good. I don't know what else to say.
All right. So last thing we want to ask you, Sean, is what are you excited about that you haven't seen? Whether it's, we've already talked about the Jetsons, so you can't use the Colin Trevorrow Jetsons.
Okay.
What are you excited about hitting theaters
in this year?
In the next, any that you haven't seen that's going to be, is going to hit theaters. We're not talking Streamo, huh? We're theatrical release that you're excited about.
I missed Is This Thing On at the New York Film Festival, the new Bradley Cooper movie. I've heard some actually pretty good things about it. I'm a big believer in Cooper as a director, and so I like the idea of him kind of scaling down a little bit and kind of like reducing his ambition to focus on performance and script. So I'm interested in that. I'm a big Jim Allegiant, and I believe in Avatar, and I always have. And I would like Fire and Ash to be good. I would be really happy if it was good. I thought The Way of Water was very good, and I don't mind saying so on your show. So that's one. I also want to know what Ella McKay is.
The James L. Brooks. Yeah, that is a must see. And listen, we talked all this Oscars, and maybe it's James L. Brooks. Ella McKay is getting in there. Who knows?
They moved it out of September and into December.
Okay.
Which maybe is a sign of confidence or maybe not.
Yeah. Those are very exciting. So, Sean Fennessey, thank you so much for joining us on the BO Boys. Of course, email us theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Follow us at the BO Boys Pod on all social media. Subscribe to Substack. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are YouTubers. Hey guys. And that's it, Clayton. That is all I got.
Pat, I finished.
Great.
And there's nothing left to be said.
All right, so we can leave.
Except for, until next time, we'll smell you at the box office. Nailed it. Hey, guys.